Hello everyone, my name is Dimitri Sane, and this is Mr. Insane in theaters. In this specific series, I'm going to take a look at the movies that are still in theaters, so I will avoid spoilers until the very end of the video if it is necessary. I will give the warning. So, those are the rules from now on, and let's take a look at this quickie review. Today's movie is Disney's recent film with the returning characters of The 100-Acre Wood, with Christopher Robin. The story revolves around Christopher Robin, who now has to leave Winnie the Pooh and his friends to continue with his life, to grow up, have a new family, and a new job. During his years as an adult, he has been paying more attention to his job rather than his wife or daughter. And just for a mere sudden, Winnie the Pooh comes to his life to find the others from 100-Acre Wood that are lost. Now Christopher Robin will accompany him to find them. Before I talk about this film, let me give my opinion for what I think of the whole franchise of Winnie the Pooh. And in all honesty, they're really enjoyable. I mean, granted, they're not the most grand epic thing that you're going to miss or anything. I mean, mostly because it is targeted towards children. And while I give credit that it's not one of those children products that are annoying or rolling your eyes, but it has a lot of heart and sweetness and innocence. And I can totally see why it lasted all over the years. Most likely because of all the memorable characters like Piglet, Tigger, Eeyore, Rabbit, and many more. So it all went on with short films, TV shows, more TV shows with even awkward PSA videos, and even movies that centering around the side characters. In fact, the last time that we saw Winnie the Pooh was in the 2011 animated feature, which unfortunately it came out right at the same weekend as the last Harry Potter movie. And unfortunately, it was the last time that we see a hand-drawn animated feature from Disney. For crying out loud, Disney, I'm glad for what you're doing with their last movies, but can you at least make one hand-drawn animated film? I mean, it's not gonna kill the company. You're making billions of dollars. Just a small rant. Now going back with this film, what do I think of it? I think it was a very amazing, interesting take on the whole aspect of Christopher Robin. Most likely because before they pitched the idea, I always had that in mind. What would happen if Christopher Robin grew up? Whether from the original film or even one of the direct-to-video films of The Search for Christopher Robin, that whole concept always was around my head, yet I was very glad when I heard that they were making a movie. So I was very excited. As you know, I grew up with Hook, so needless to say, the whole concept of characters that we know and love grow up has always been one of my favorites. The film is directed by Mark Forster, the director of Finding Neverland and Stranger Than Fiction, and a few other films, but I'm mostly focusing on those two because there are good examples on why this director was perfect to direct this one. It has a lot of emotion, depth, and such amazing visuals on this direction. And it gives a lot of good respect on the source material. The performances are very decent. Ewan McGregor was a good casting choice to play Christopher Robin. He has a lot of charm, likability, and even in moments that should be at least not that likable, he still brings such character. Mostly because McGregor is one of those actors that he's really great despite the fact that a movie may not be good to begin with. The Star Wars prequels, he's great. The live-action Beauty and the Beast, he's fine. I mean, he has a lot of talent even in movies that may not have such great amount of weight. But of course, he is not the only one that holds this movie, but as well as the voice actors from the characters that we all know and love. Jim Cummings reprises his role, or both roles of Winnie the Pooh and Tigger. And he does the same thing, but Again, he's very talented and he's fine. But even the new voice actors of this film sound exactly like the original voices. Brad Garrett was a perfect casting choice to play Eeyore, mostly because everybody remembers from his character as Robert from Everybody Loves Raymond, and as you all know that he gets all mopey and saying, everybody loves Raymond, Raymond does this, Raymond does that, and I do this. He was perfect for this role, and not to mention he gets the best lines of this film. Toby Jones as Owls, it sounds like the same character, like, it's so uncanny. And even actors that don't sound exactly like the original voices still bring the same characteristics and personalities that they still feel the same. Now, I'm not gonna act that this movie is perfect. There's a few minor flaws here and there. Most likely, even though as interesting the concept is not the strongest one. Mostly because the whole workaholic father setup has done the most, and it's not everybody's favorite story, not even mine. Mostly because it would come out either whiny or annoying or unlikable, but thankfully the movie doesn't do that, as it does it in a much more rational way, like very decent. And I'm also thankful that the resolution at the very end of the film feels very satisfying. I would be afraid that they were going into that route, but thankfully they didn't. Another thing is that while I actually do like this, some people, mostly audience members or Winnie the Pooh fans, may find it unsettling, is that the whole movie looks bleak and the colors are a bit toned down. And in my opinion, I actually didn't mind that, mostly because, again, the whole environment adds into more on how Christopher Robin went for growing up. There's an opening montage on how the character has went through for dealing with death and even going to war. It depicts that. It's just a small montage, but it shows for how much this character has gone through and so much he left in his childhood. It is very emotional. And as for the whole colors, I did not mind. I mean, there's a few colors here and there, and so I really didn't mind those parts. I mean, it is visually astounding. It is done by a very talented director. Another thing is that many people find the whole realistic look on the whole characters very unsettling, and I actually didn't mind that because the CGI is very well done, and I really find them kind of cute, and they're still cute, in my opinion. I mean, at least they're not Mrs. Potts or Chip from the live action film. Also, one criticism is that as good as the movie is, the trailers spoiled it. It showed everything from the opening to the setup to the plot points that leads to this scene, and even the climax. It is a very decent film, but at the same time, it didn't surprise me. This may sound like a small, minor, pointless nitpick, but I always thought that the whole characters of the 100-Acre Wood was all in Christopher Robin's mind. I know that sounds kinda analytical, but it just hits me, like Christopher Robin is the only human character that we all know from this franchise. I mean, there's a few human characters like in the show, but they never interacted with Winnie the Pooh nor his friends. Except for her, but that's from another show, and I actually did not watch that. But needless to say, I always thought that was the movie was gonna be about. That all the characters was gonna be on his mind. But then again, it is Disney. They're of course not gonna do that. I mean, the same studio that make us thought that the whole Gargoyles was on Quasimodo's mind, but we have proven that they're not. But just like I said, it is just only a pointless nitpick. For what the movie just given, I'm actually quite satisfied, and it is a really enjoyable experience. In conclusion, while this movie may not have a strong impact and it may feel slow in a few scenes, it still brings such breathtaking moments that will bring back your childhood. The story is very simple, The setup is very cliched and predictable, yet very welcoming at the same time. The characters are still the same as they were in the past, with such nice development on their main protagonist. And the visuals, while may not be 100% colorful, they at least give such astounding amount of shots that I would love to make that kind of style of cinematography. I do think that fans of Winnie the Pooh will like this film. Well, if you don't think of it that heavily, again, it has a few minor dark moments in the first scenes of the film. And yeah, it's really surprising even for Winnie the Pooh fans. But to be fair, it's not nearly as awkward as something like that. Is that even a thing? I never heard of that. What's up with that? Well, beautiful movie. I enjoyed it, the whole experience, and I'm glad that they made it after all those years of thinking of it in my head. That's all I have to say, and I'll see you into the next review. See you later.